last game, the Redskins lose 24-13 guys to the New York Giants in a game where Colt McCoy doesn't make it out of the first series. Robert Griffin III comes in off the bench, plays reasonably well, 18 of 27, 236 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, sacked 7 times. He's going to start this weekend. Adam, let me ask you, what do you need to see out of him for the next 2 games to convince you he should be the starter going into next season?
Oh, going into next season, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he can do anything these last 2 games, unless he. Honestly, nothing. I don't think there's anything he can do for next season. I do think, though, even if McCoy is healthy after this week, just let Griffin play the last game. I mean, playing McCoy accomplishes absolutely nothing. Like, you sort of know what Colt McCoy is. He's like a middling journeyman NFL quarterback. Griffin, you can at least maybe boost his trade value if he plays great these last 2 games. You can maybe rebuild his confidence if you do want to bring him back next year. So, I mean, he should be the starter in Week 17 no matter what. Even if he plays terrible, if he plays great against Philly, whatever, he should come back and start.
Rick, do you see, with the reports of the fraction between RG3 and Jay Gruden, that if Colt McCoy's healthy, he's going to play at least 1 more game in the rest of the season, or is this RG3's team the rest of the way?
Well, I mean, I think Jay Gruden has shown that he has no interest in seeing RG3, under center. So
right.
to me, it makes sense to let RG3 play out the string. Yeah. But I don't think Jay Gruden's curious about anything he can do. And if you're the front office, I think you want to see Griffin in there because you got to increase the guy's trade value. I don't think he's going to be in D.C. next year. And right now, they've basically devalued him so much they're going to be lucky to get like a 5th or 6th rounder, in my opinion. He needs to show he's a competent NFL quarterback and show that he can do a little bit of what he did as a rookie, and he has some value to other teams. And he hasn't done that yet. I think he's got to do that in the final 2 games, for at least the sake of a trade.
Neil, if let's just say RG3 goes out there and has 2 good games and they even win both of them, is that going to be enough to convince Jay Gruden that he's the guy going forward?
It depends on how they win. Right now, RG3 needs to show 2 things. One, that he can pass the ball downfield and he can avoid the sacks. His average catch is only less than 4 yards past the line of scrimmage, so he hasn't shown any ability to throw the deep ball, and when he does, he's overthrowing Deshaun Jackson most of the time. And like we said before, I mean, he's taking a ton of sacks. He just seems to make a lot of poor decisions.
Some his fault, though, some not, though.
Without a doubt, but it's still, there's still sacks. He's still getting knocked to the ground. And, if he wants to be a pocket passer in this league, if he wants to show that he's able to play the type of quarterback that Jay Gruden wants and needs, then he needs to show that he can at least throw the ball down the field, at least make the second read. It doesn't even seem that he's progressing through his reads enough to see open receivers down the field. It's just he's looking almost locking in on one receiver. He's not there, and then he's either just throwing the ball, scrambling, or getting sacked. It's just been a mess.
Well, Rick, in the last game, at least from my perspective, Robert Griffin looked as healthy as we've seen him in a long time. He was running around, getting out of bounds, sliding. He didn't look as tentative as before. Did you get that sense or not? Does he look as healthy to you as he's been in a while?
He does, but his health isn't in question. Jay Gruden has never said that he's not playing him because he's worried about his knee or any other part of his anatomy. It's all in the kid's head. I don't really think it's a confidence issue. I think it's Jay just doesn't have any it's not Griffin's confidence. It's Gruden's confidence in Robert to actually execute the offense. And that hasn't changed, from week to week.
Well, did he look healthy to you, Adam? Does that make a difference in a coach's thinking about whether to play? And if he is indeed on the on the trading block, you don't want to get the guy hurt, right?
He looked a little bit better. Yeah. He did seem to have a little more verve than he had in previous games. Yeah. But if you asked if it makes a difference in a coach's thinking, maybe in some coaches, but obviously, like Rick has alluded to a bunch of times, Gruden kind of wants nothing to do with this guy. He's made it blatantly obvious. It even seemed to me like he was trying to suppress Griffin's success by essentially giving up in the game with a minute left or whatever it was on Sunday. There was no other logical reason for doing that unless unless he was shaving points, or unless he was
let's hope he wasn't doing that,
or which is very possible, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
That's the real.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Although they did share a moment on the sideline after that first touchdown, right? It looked like everything was fine, but we know that's far from the case.